Going on? I'm hurt. Hurt. Hear it? I didn't know if I'd catch it in time. It is so amazing. And you know, actually the harassment I was getting online today is really upsetting me. And people that are phony friends is what they are. I mean, I survived a murder attempt. People come to my home, pointed a gun at me and pulled the trigger. They tried to kill me dead in my house. And these fake friends that, you know, it's hard to picture people that are so low. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with these people. The evidence is overwhelming, over the top. I'm going to show you. I just did a Facebook post on it. I'm going to turn the TV on. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you can see this, and I'm trying to get it where you can see it and unread it. Proof of a murder attempt. 2 weeks after reporting a suspected tunnel to the El Paso and Midland DEA from cell phone number 432-209-6494, my phone lines were cut and I was shot by a person under my home. The proof of these calls to the DEA are found in call logs for that number, and it should be clear by now that my word is good. And what I'm saying there is I want somebody to verify that, because that means that probably other people have called the DEA and they're dead right now, because nobody should be dead for calling the DEA and reporting crime. And an interesting little story to go along with that. My friend said he grew up with a DEA agent here in Midland named Adolfo Baeza, I think he said his name was. And then all of a sudden now, Adolfo Baeza is not talking to him no more or something. And I told him I went to the FBI office one day, which of my many trips up there, I think this was in 2012, and one day I talked to a new FBI agent named Adolfo, and I told him the whole story, and he sat there and took notes. And it's frustrating because I kept getting different FBI agents, and then when I find out there's a DEA agent named Adolfo, I'm thinking, I wonder if that was a con job. If that wasn't an FBI agent, but that was the DEA agent, and it was the DEA agent that had taken my call about this underground access of this suspected tunnel and had ignored it, thinking that I was fixing to be dead and it was going to be called a accident. You know, I don't know that, and I don't know if Adolfo Baeza was the guy I talked to, but we either have two Adolfos, one works for the FBI and one works for the DEA, or we have a DEA agent named Adolfo that's pretending to be an FBI agent and is most likely involved in the murder attempt here. Let me move on down here. The evidence is clear. I wasn't shot with my gun, as falsely claimed by the same corrupt police that were caught sneaking into my home after they failed to disable my cameras properly. If I wasn't shot with my gun, then I was shot with another gun. Most people can figure that out, unless they're scummy lowlifes trying to distort and ignore the facts to cover up this murder attempt. And that's pretty simple, right? I mean, you know, them are simple facts, you know. Oh, I'm just trying to be a juror. Yeah, you are, whatever. You're trying to cover up a murder attempt. The reason I crawled out and didn't call for help was because my cell phone had been taken from my home earlier in the day, and my home phone line was disconnected before I was shot by surprise. I tried to call for help and I was forced to crawl out. I have pictures of Secret Police Detective Rosa Rodriguez leaned over the nightstand where I later found my cell phone when I got back out of the hospital. I think she had it and put it back, actually. And on a night that she was in my house, the police report says she wasn't even here. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. We also know that I told Detective Rose Rodriguez, who's one of the main players, at the emergency room that proof was at my home. This was documented by the nurse and the medical report. So here I am, shot, survived a murder attempt, crawled out to save my life at the emergency room, telling the detective proof is at my home, and guess what? That proof is stolen. They went sneaking into my house to steal the proof. We also know that Detective Rodriguez was seen in my home a few hours later, even though the police reports show that nobody was at my home. We have time-stamped pictures of this and police reports. We also know that the proof, which I told Detective about, was stolen, and we know that the last person to have this now stolen proof was Midland Officer April Chandler. I've shown her these statements and that proof online. She lied on the police reports. There is no doubt about that. And she said she found and checked it in as evidence. We also know that MPD Officer Chandler is not listed as being at my house, which conflicts with her own statements where she was caught lying. Okay? Interestingly, this Chandler is the one that called me a paranoid schizophrenic just a day and a half after I'm shot, when I'd never been diagnosed with that. And obviously, after being caught inside my house stealing evidence, that was to cover up the murder attempt. That was defamation of character, slander, life-ruining lies. Evil people, evil people. We also know that my life insurance books were taken from my home by the childhood friend of Detective Rosie Rodriguez less than a month before the shooting. My sister-in-law, Mitzi Webb, told me that she saw them, which confirms my testimony. So they were taken around the end of December 2011, and they were brought to me about a week before I was shot. They were brought back. That's when I found out they were gone. And then my sister-in-law later told me she saw them while they're gone, and that'll confirm it. All we got to do is talk to her. It says, we know that the childhood friend of Detective Rosie Rodriguez admitted to being witness to the felonies being committed in my home, and also admitted to trying to extort over $1,000 a month from me over these crimes. The threat was, or I'll tell everybody that you're crazy. This threat was carried out when I refused to pay the extortion money. Keep that in mind. That's about $1,200 a month. This is all recorded on a voice recorder, and it's now posted on YouTube for verification of the facts. You can go to my YouTube channel under Buddy Webb, look for the video that says "Follow the Money," and that was that voice recorder I'm talking about, where there's the admission of extortion, which is a felony, by the way. Okay, and we don't want to ignore the fact that 2 law enforcement officers arrived without being dispatched minutes after I crawled out and survived to disable my cameras, and a larger group of secret police were caught on camera sneaking into my home, stealing evidence, staging the crime scene of this murder attempt. Only 2 of them have been recognized, and that's Rose Rodriguez and April Chandler. Most of them are still very much secret, even with a $2,000 reward. This is unheard of. Corruption never happened before in the history of America. Okay, the gang of police is involved in a capital murder attempt, got caught on camera, crippled crime victim, offering a reward to anybody that can identify them. Never happened before in the history of America. And I'm doing it with my life being threatened. If you can't figure this out, then you're trying to cover up a capital murder attempt. Thankfully, my case does not reside on my testimony, but lots of hard facts. That doesn't mean everything is known yet, but I believe it will be once the secret police are identified and held accountable for the crimes they're seen committing. They've made a mockery of justice here, and nobody should be arrested or go to jail until these secret police are identified, so we know they've been stopped from helping murder any more citizens. What we got here on this is a right here, this is a medical report, and it shows the size of pellets that were removed from my foot. This right here shows the size of pellets in my gun. This is a chart that converts the sizes into pellet sizes, into shotgun sizes, all that. 2.5 sizes different. So the ballistic evidence is saying, hey, the guy with the 22 didn't shoot the guy that has a hole in him with the 45. Basically, that's what it is. We also know the entrance-exit wound was 2 inches above ground. And so here we know for a fact I wasn't shot with my own gun. I'm shot 2 inches above ground 2 weeks after reporting a suspected tunnel to the DEA. You know, you don't need a degree to figure that one out, right? I mean, that's pretty simple. Somebody under my home shot me. And it's like I said before, you walk outside and you see snow on the ground. Do you have to see the snow fall from the sky to know that's where it come from? I don't think so. Okay. This is proof right here. Okay. What this is the nurse's notes, okay, the documentation, and this is at 11:27. I crawled at 10:42, and at 11:27, a few minutes later, I'm saying there's a voice recorder recording what's happening. The alarms kept going off. There are sirens going off. I was shot during a home invasion. That's what happened. That's what I'm talking about. I've been talking about. And then I tell them at 12:03, I was talking on a white voice recorder. That's the proof. In case something happens to me and saying what they're doing in my house, go look. There's proof. Go look. And then at the same minute, Detective Rodriguez is logged as being in the room because she has my necklace and is going to give it to my brother, okay? And so we know that Rodriguez found out from me that proof was at my house. That's important when we see Rodriguez in my home. At 3:15 the next morning, which is just a couple hours later, okay, right here, this is the Windows event log. It's showing a user-initiated log off. That wasn't done remotely by a hacker. Somebody has to touch the computer. Somebody was in my house, but the police report says nobody was in my house. But it shows somebody was in my house, the Windows security event log. And about 20 minutes later, we start seeing pictures of the secret police stealing evidence and staging the crime scene. We don't know who they are because there's no police report. This is built from a life insurance policy in 2012, life and accident, and whoever took these booklets, right, the friend of Rosie Rodriguez took them, found out that there was an accidental death and dismemberment insurance. Okay, 2 times annual base pay. And then there's a supplemental accidental death disability, $250,000, and with employee and family. So it's 2 times my base pay plus $250,000 added if only Rosa Rodriguez will sneak in, steal evidence, and call my murder an accident. And cha-ching! Everybody hear cha-ching? Now you can see why they would do it, right? Okay. This is a transcript, okay, from the recording from September 2011 by the friend of Rosa Rodriguez, the detective, right here. And I'm talking in here, and I'm basically, how in the world can you be here and be witness to these crimes and these break-ins and these felonies going on, and then turn around and say you're going to pay me $1,800 or $1,200 a month, or I'm going to lie about everything and tell everybody you're crazy. And this person says I made a mistake, and then she later goes, it was Greg's idea to extort money. Extortion is a felony, folks. That alone should break this case open. This is from the ex-boyfriend, right? Contacts me. He says, do you think the Rosa Rodriguez's childhood friend had anything to do with it? Not in them words, of course. And I said, well, I don't think she lived here. I think she lived in Lubbock, and so I don't think, she's the shooter. I think she might know who did. Well, I think she had a lot to do with the things she said, and she threatened to have me killed too. And this document was submitted in court. And so you don't have to be a genius to figure out that this is a capital attempted murder here. And I mean, that's what's going on. And here we go. One last one I'll leave before I end it. They cut my phone lines. God saved my life. I'm crawling out, not because it was a health kick, right? I tried to use my phone. My phone lines were cut. They tried to kill me. It's premeditated. They loaded their guns, come to my home, and shot me. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Here, let me get to the timestamp. Because remember, burglar alarm just went off. And when a burglar alarm goes off, remember that I was shot with burglar alarms going off. You just seen that a minute ago. Every time a burglar alarm goes off and I film it, it might be just another day to you. To me, I'm waiting on a bullet. And I'm waiting on the secret police to show up. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.